state, and local resources to dismantle public safety threats and eliminate the presence of criminal organizations that threaten our state and neighborhoods.
4:58 a.m., Seattle, Washington, the nation's second largest legal practice. 2 elite Somali attorneys placed under arrest. Fentanyl packaged for mass casualties. CJNG operations concealed behind legal credibility. This wasn't a standard raid. It was a breach of national security. America has just awakened to the truth. The mission of the Homeland Security Task Force is to eradicate cartel presence, international gang operations, and cross-border criminal enterprises from United States territory. Just days before Christmas, while Seattle remained adorned in holiday decorations and routine patterns, federal operatives were positioning for an assault that would demolish any illusion of security. At 4:58 a.m., ICE and DEA vehicles advanced silently through a residential district not far from the city center. No emergency signals, no advance notice, only engines idling in pre-dawn darkness. The objective wasn't a storage warehouse or border station. It was the second largest law firm in America, a powerful institution recognized for influence, prestige, and legal expertise. When operatives breached the entrances, calm evaporated instantly. Commands reverberated across marble flooring and glass-walled offices. Documents were confiscated, computer servers were disconnected, secured conference rooms were forced open. Within minutes, Mohammed Hussein, 46, and his spouse Fatima Ibrahim, 34, were taken into federal custody. To the outside world, they were distinguished legal professionals. To federal investigators, they represented the operational center of a CJNG cartel network hidden in plain view. As operatives secured the premises, one truth became impossible to ignore. This wasn't routine drug enforcement. This was proof that a violent trafficking organization had embedded itself deeply within America's legal infrastructure. As the investigation expanded, the danger revealed itself not through violence, but through calculated silence. This wasn't street-level distribution. This was an apparatus engineered to blend seamlessly into everyday American existence. Cartel narcotics traveled through clean suburban storage facilities located minutes from schools and family residences. Transport vehicles arrived during daylight hours with labels indicating food products, dietary supplements, or medical materials. Everything appeared legitimate. That was the disguise. Inside were fentanyl and methamphetamine sealed for mass dispersal. The substances were pressed into tablets identical to authentic prescription medications. Transactions flowed through encrypted messaging platforms. Financial transfers moved electronically. Packages followed standard delivery pathways, no street corners, no visible warning indicators, just poison infiltrating homes without detection. This network proved deadly because it was systematic. Deliveries were scheduled. Routes maintained backup options. Capital was structured to survive arrests and enforcement actions. Investigators characterized it as a commercial enterprise built for death. The organization synchronized supply around school terms and holiday periods, targeting younger demographics first. As one operative stated, this operation didn't depend on intimidation. It depended on invisibility. What investigators uncovered next transformed a significant drug case into a national emergency. This wasn't localized operations. It was a global supply network constructed to transport death with corporate precision. Federal analysts traced the pipeline across 3 continents. Chemical precursors departed ports in China as legitimate industrial shipments. They were redirected to laboratories in Sinaloa, Mexico, where cartel chemists converted them into fentanyl and methamphetamine. From there, the narcotics crossed oceans concealed in cargo containers. Maritime routes had replaced land borders, making detection significantly more challenging. Once inside, United States territory distribution never ceased. Shipments traveled eastward, then northward, supplying distribution centers before reaching Seattle, where Hussein's network assumed control. Every phase was synchronized, every shipment tracked. Losses were calculated and accepted as operational expenses. The human devastation was catastrophic. In 2025 alone, Washington state recorded 4,213 overdose fatalities. 82% involved fentanyl. King County surpassed a grim threshold, more than 1,340 deaths in 12 months. Nationally, fentanyl became the leading mortality cause for Americans aged 18 to 35, exceeding vehicular accidents and firearm deaths. Investigators warned that the confiscated fentanyl alone could produce 8.7 million lethal doses, sufficient to eliminate the populations of Seattle and Tacoma multiple times. When the threat's magnitude became undeniable, federal authorities executed a decisive shift. Before sunrise, Washington State entered what senior administrators later described as a war-level posture. More than 1,050 federal operatives were deployed across multiple agencies: DEA, ICE, FBI, ATF, and state task forces. This wasn't a single raid. It was synchronized operations spanning urban centers, suburbs, ports, highways, and rural transit corridors. As first light appeared over Seattle, helicopters lifted skyward. Drones spread across industrial zones and residential blocks, securing escape routes from above. At precisely coordinated intervals, the operation commenced. Doors were breached simultaneously across dozens of locations. In warehouses, operatives cut through reinforced barriers while suspects inside scrambled in confusion. Armed confrontation was narrowly avoided, not through luck, but through velocity. Federal teams moved faster than the network could respond. At waterfront sites near port facilities, hazmat teams assumed control. Containers were opened under controlled conditions. Inside were tightly sealed packages of fentanyl and methamphetamine, some wrapped in layers designed to defeat detection equipment. Operatives worked in protective gear, understanding that microscopic quantities in the air could prove fatal. For 52 continuous hours, teams rotated in shifts, executing warrants, securing evidence, and transporting detainees. By conclusion, the statistics told the narrative of a battlefield victory. Thousands of pounds of controlled substances, seized weaponry removed from circulation currency, and digital assets frozen mid-transfer totaling $187 million. Administrators later confirmed that the Washington operation crippled the CJNG's East Coast supply chain, severing routes that had been supplying multiple states. Intelligence analysts estimated that the disruption likely prevented thousands of future overdose deaths. When raids concluded, investigators confronted a more difficult reality. Financial teams began tracing capital. What they discovered was a labyrinth designed to outlast any single raid. Millions of dollars had transferred through cryptocurrency wallets, shell companies, and legal trusts that appeared clean superficially. This wasn't careless laundering. It was financial camouflage constructed to appear mundane and legitimate. Community impact reports painted a severe picture. In neighborhoods connected to distribution routes, emergency calls for overdoses had surged quietly across months. Paramedics described repeat addresses. Hospitals reported growing numbers of patients who believed they were taking prescription medication. Families told investigators the identical story repeatedly. No warning, no history, no second chance. Public health records revealed a pattern that had been building long before the raids. Overdose deaths were rising not just in urban centers, but in suburbs and smaller communities where residents once believed they were insulated from cartel violence. Emergency responders described arriving at homes with no criminal history, no visible warning signs. Doctors reported an alarming trend. Many victims didn't believe they were taking illegal drugs. They thought they were using prescription medication, something familiar, something trusted. One pill, one dose, often fatal. By the time federal briefings reached Washington, one conclusion was inescapable. The operation in Seattle had not just dismantled a cartel cell, it had exposed a new phase of the drug war inside the United States. This was no longer about borders, fences, or distant smuggling routes. The threat had already crossed those lines and learned how to live comfortably inside American systems. Officials confirmed that the Washington state crackdown severely damaged the CJNG's East Coast supply chain. Intelligence analysts estimated that thousands of shipments were disrupted, rerouted, or abandoned. In practical terms, that meant thousands of lives likely saved. But no one involved believed the danger had ended. Cartels adapt.